If I could take time back, I would say exactly the same because I stated the facts.
Chisanga Malata of the Sun here with a man who needs no introduction. He's one half of UFC 297's main event. I'm talking about Mr. Dricus Du Plessis. Dricus, how are you doing?
Mrs. Dricus, what's up? Oh man, good
Well,
evening.
I'm sure maybe there'll be a Mrs. Dricus Du Plessis in your life soon enough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, how are you doing, Dricus?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the time during fight week. I really do appreciate it. First and foremost, happy belated birthday, right? Was it your birthday a couple of days ago?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my 30th birthday on Sunday. You know, I said funniest thing. I said, excuse me, my go. I said, sorry about that. I said I want to have the world title by the time I'm 30. When I'm 30, that was our game plan when I was 20 years old, 19 years old. Me and my coach, after my first title fight in the UFC, I mean, 20 years old, 4 fights in, I said, I'm going to be champion. I want to be champion because we knew we had a hard way to pave for as being South African and getting to the UFC, being recognized as a worthy for the UFC. It's going to take some time. We're probably going to have to take a route through Europe. And, you know, I dominated the scene in Africa, went to KSW, became champion there. And finally got that call. And, you know, we had the goal of signing with the UFC by 28, being champion by 30. The signing came at 26. But then we had COVID and I could only fight twice in 2 years. I had one fight a year because we couldn't travel. And so that backpedaled us a little. But here we are on route. I mean, that's kind of perfect planning if you think about it. Saying I want the belt at 30 and 1 week after my birthday, my 30th birthday, we're fighting for the title. That's pinpoint planning right there.
And it can be pretty incredible for you achieving that goal that you dreamed it and you're on the brink of achieving it. But it could be also make an incredible few months for South Africa in general, right? Because obviously you guys won the Rugby World Cup. So, I mean, how much of an honor would it be to almost be the second part of back-to-back historic wins for South Africa?
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I'm talking to people back in South Africa and the country is electrified. They said it's almost like since I made the post that we left for Canada, the build-up started, the fan park started. People are having watch parties. People are even having watch parties watching old fights. If people, it's like we have a World Cup 2.0, and you know the country's still on a high from the Rugby World Cup, and it's a new year. So I mean, that's how you inspire a nation. I mean, when you after that Rugby World Cup, if you go into workplaces, if you go into supermarkets everywhere, the whole country, everybody works harder, everybody's motivated, everybody's more, you know, there's a love in the country, you know, and there's nothing in South Africa that unifies us like sports. And I have the opportunity and I have the opportunity right now to keep that alive and unite the country once again, and it feels absolutely incredible.
You talk about uniting the country there and being an inspiration to the next generation. Doing it from Africa itself would be a massive achievement. I mean, I know you've talked about it several times, but I mean, how much of an honor would it be for you to become the first African residing champion?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely everything, because that's sending a message. And like you said, it's so much bigger than me. You know, everybody might think that this is my own selfish goals. And yeah, of course, I have this goal. But what if my goal is to become a UFC champion? Where I do it from is absolutely, it doesn't matter. But this is much bigger than me. This is about inspiring a nation, inspiring a continent, and a whole generation of youth, even 3 generations from now, saying there was this guy who did it from our home soil in Africa. He stayed here, he trained here, he used the facilities we have here, he used the expertise, the coaches, everything, the food, everything I used, everything you see here, the product you see Saturday night is a product of Africa and South Africa. And you know, that gives a young boy, whether he's just a normal living circumstances or he is living in not ideal circumstances, whether he's living in, no, that's the harsh reality of Africa. Everywhere, the whole of Africa. there's so many people that live in that poverty. And if I can get through to one of those kids or one person who says if he can do it, then I can do it. If this guy can do it right here from home, I can do it right here from home, and that gives me goosebumps. That is what this is all about. Doing this from Africa is showing the world and showing the people from Africa and South Africa we can do anything the rest of the world can do.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this, and I'm not trying to drudge up old comments. I remember I was there at the UFC 285 media day when you were relaying this. You were trying to relay this, and obviously your comments were subsequently taken the wrong way by certain people. And I could understand their point of view, but I could understand subsequently your rebuttal when you responded and when you explained yourself. With the benefit of hindsight, do you at all maybe regret the phrasing of it? Because obviously the subsequent reaction from some fans and then like some fighters, like say, for instance, Israel Adesanya.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. If I could take time back, I would say exactly the same because I stated the facts. Yeah, I stated 100% stated the facts that I am the African fighter that resides in Africa. And I want to be the first champion that is African born, African raised, African trained, and still residing in Africa. And taking that back would make no sense because that's fact. That's facts, and not taking away any of their heritage, saying they are not African, not at all. But they don't reside in Africa, and that's facts. They didn't train in Africa. They didn't get their expertise of fighting in Africa. That's where I get mine. My coaches, my teammates, everybody is African. And yeah, no, I will never take that back because I will always stand by it because it will always be the fact.
Fair enough. Now, moving on to your opponent, Sean Strickland, who you got to grips with a lot earlier than expected at 296. Personally, when I saw everything that went on in there, that was a sign to me that maybe you're already in his head. Is that a notion that you'd agree with? Because I mean, to attack somebody in front of kids, no less, as well, that says that you're somewhat rattled.
People go and they like to talk about how he asked the kids to get out of the way, which is a very nice gesture for them not to get hurt. But think about the example you're setting as well. And I know sometimes, you know, we all make mistakes. Things can get heated in the heat of the moment. But I mean, that wasn't even that bad. You know, it wasn't like he was protecting himself. It was, you know, as a world champion, you have to be accustomed to that situation and that kind of heat. And you have to think about this example you're setting and the company you're representing, the belt you're representing. But yeah, like you said, to react like that has got to mean that there's something somewhat of an emotional trigger, and yeah, your head is not in the right place. And I believe he has the right people to, you know, he had 5 weeks after that till fight night, and I believe he has the right people in his corner to you know, try and get him on that, get his focus back to where it needs to be.
All right, just a couple more questions. I appreciate it. I'm sure you're sick of talking to us, asking the same questions.
No problem.
One thing that just clicked at me because you obviously reminded me that you fought in KSW. You're on the brink of becoming a 3-promotion world champion, which is pretty darn unprecedented in mixed martial arts. Have you thought about like the historic ramifications of that?
Oh, well, now that you mention it, I haven't even thought about that once. I haven't thought about that once, but that is pretty awesome. I mean, that's a resume right there. But yeah, I mean, that comes to show a testimony of how far we've come. And, you know, yeah, it was a long and hard road because we couldn't, I mean, I was on a 10-11 fight win streak at a stage with 3 different titles. I had a UFC middle and welterweight title, KSW welterweight title simultaneously, and they still didn't sign me. And that's I was on my way up for a 205 belt at UFC 2. So, and then I got that call. So this is it's amazing that you mentioned the fact that, you know, the lengths we went through to get to where we are today. It's amazing.
All right, just 2 quick more questions, I promise. If you were to win, right, this is a hypothetical person, and I know you're not the type of person to look too far into the future. You're very here and now, and that's very admirable. You get a lot of fighters who think too far into the future. But If you were to win the title, would you, for instance, be willing to perform a turnaround for UFC 300 if, say, the UFC offered you an Adesanya?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that is 11 weeks, right? That would be 11 weeks. Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest thing is I have a very, very good team around me. So I have, obviously, as fighters, we carry small injuries, we carry niggles, we always do. I have nothing serious as of now. And obviously, I have the fight camp niggles. That's it. And, we never, one thing that I did learn from the Whittaker fight is don't commit to a fight before you have another fight, because you'll get crucified for that. But that would be amazing. I mean, that would be an historic event. That would be absolutely awesome. I mean, that's a massive payday. That's a legacy. UFC 300 being part of that, and we get to give the fans what they want in Israel. Me versus Israel Adesanya. So yeah, I would love that.
And final one for me, Dricus, I appreciate the time, as I said. How does this fight with Sean Strickland go down on Saturday night?
This fight doesn't see round 4 and 5. I honestly see late in round two. Sean Strickland's a tough guy. He's harder to break down. It's going to be a late round 2, first half of round 3 finish.
Right. Dricus Du Plessis, thank you very much for the time today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully the wake up goes well, and good luck on Saturday night.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Take care, man.